Welcome back to In Focus. 50 years ago, U.S. President John F. Kennedy established the Peace Corps to promote peace and friendship between the U.S. and other nations. A year later, in August of 1962, the first group of the Peace Corps volunteers departed for Africa. Since then, 200,000 volunteers have served in many countries. VOA's Deborah has more.
This is the most immediate.
In August 1962, President Kennedy praised the first Peace Corps volunteers. They were about to serve in Africa.
The fact that you're willing to do this for our country and in a larger sense, as the name suggests, for the cause of peace and understanding, I think should make all Americans proud and make them all appreciative.
The volunteers were mostly idealistic college graduates in their 20s. Barbara Jo, however, waited until she was 62 to join up.
I always had in the back of my mind since 1961 that I would like to join the Peace Corps. We had children, we moved, I got divorced, I lost my son, my foster son, and then I finally said, well, if I'm going to do it, I better do it now.
11 years ago, Jo went to Honduras where she was a health volunteer. The experience helped her heal from the past.
I found I was able to help Honduran parents who had lost their kids.
Jo says although working in Honduras was challenging, the experience was so worthwhile that she signed up for a second 2-year tour. She wrote a book about her experiences called Triumph and Hope, the names of the Honduran villages where she worked. She says only 7% of Peace Corps volunteers are over the age of 50, and she hopes more older people will join.
Older people, for one thing, in a developing country, they enjoy more respect. Secondly, they have life experience. They don't get depressed, homesick as much, at least in my experience.
Emily Doerr was a more typical volunteer. She joined the Peace Corps after college. 4 years ago, she went to Mali. She lived in a village, learned the local language, and taught people about nutrition.
One of the biggest impacts that Peace Corps volunteers have is the fact that they're integrated and they speak the language and they dress the same. And while we obviously don't blend in completely, we're trying really hard.
She says she went in being idealistic and came out more realistic.
Development is not easy. It doesn't happen overnight.
Doerr says her Peace Corps experience made it easier to get a job in international development. Now she works on education projects at the Agency for International Development, a government organization that provides humanitarian assistance to other countries.
Peace Corps gave me real work experience, and I think that employers like to see that because they like to know that you can do things without being micromanaged or being told what to do.
As for Jo, today she's a Spanish translator in Washington. She returns to Honduras almost every year with a group that delivers medical supplies and operates on children in poor communities. She's 73 now and would like to be a Peace Corps volunteer again, anywhere.
If I reach the ripe old age of 80, I'll retire from interpreting, and then I'd like to go in the Peace Corps for 6 months. So they have a program, if you once completed it, you can go for 6 months.
Jo and Doerr say the Peace Corps changed their lives. They hope they also changed the lives of others. Deborah, VOA News, Washington.